Please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Matthew Holmes is a proud Southerner, author who honors his Confederate ancestors. Just like his ancestors, he continues to be a fire eater and hell-bent on Southern secession of the illegally occupied Confederate States of America. Corrupt politicians do everything to dismantle our beloved Southern culture. They continue to destroy our monuments to our gallant Confederate heroes. Matthew Holmes is a proud Southerner, author who honors his Confederate ancestors.
Yes, indeed, it was not about slavery. Okay, tonight, folks, we are having fun. It's a full panel, and I'm going to introduce, starting to my right, Jen, the homeschooling mom, and then jumping down, we have author and historian Matthew Holmes, and a special guest, Michael Anthony, of many different broadcasts, Studio 10, also of America Disclosing, Uncensored. Tonight, we are discussing Matthew's next book in our series, Chemtrails over Dixieland. Matthew, I want to tell you what, this was totally unexpected for me after doing 3 books of yours, all about the war between the North and the South, the war of aggression, the war of independence, to read this. Why?
Why? Well, for one, it's the same evil forces that are destroying the South, and so that's why I've tied 2 and 2 together. The truth needs to be out there, and they're trying to hide the truth from everybody.
Jen, you read the book as well as I did. What starting this off where we can bring Michael in? Where do I mean? There's so many different topics. Do you want to start with the chemtrails? You want to do the sex? You want to do the eating the babies? What do you want to do here? Where do you want to
Okay,
start?
first of all, I want to say, Matthew, you outdid yourself. I love your writing. It always makes me feel like I'm reading something I'm not supposed to, probably because it looks like it's set up like a journal. I'm like, oh my God, am I allowed to know this? But I would like to start at the beginning, and it starts with the first big betrayal of our nation, and you're talking about in the whole chapter about Lincoln's crimes,
hmm
because we are all taught in school that he is the most beloved president. And I know nobody's perfect, but holy cow, he violated habeas corpus and
Yes.
then created West Virginia without congressional approval. Please
Yeah,
tell us.
Virginia never gave approval, so
Wow.
therefore it directly violated Article 4, Section 3 of the United States Constitution, where it says that a state cannot be created within the borders or territory of another state without that state's approval.
Wow.
And so they bring up all the time, well, secession was illegal. Well, so was that movement because the North did not recognize secession.
Wow. Right.
Therefore, they're killing their own logic.
Um,
Michael, what do you think about what Jen said?
What Jen said, or the
Or or
response?
Matthew, either one.
Well, good question, Jen. Um, so I understand a lot of these things have taken place and happened, and it goes back to other times in America as well. There's a lot of indications that other countries actually had sponsorship states here prior to them leaving and moving on, which goes
Hmm.
back in history much further back and deeper. Uh, was Abraham Lincoln the ideal president of the United States? Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to give you like a 50-50 there, a heads up on, however they see it. But when it comes to law and when it comes to the experts in law, we have to leave that part to them. I'm sure, Matthew, that you have done your homework and you would not
Oh
have
yeah.
put into context of writing if you didn't have a clue as to what you were doing. I do believe what you landed upon does make a lot of sense, and it seems to follow everything that I've ever heard.
Hmm.
Again, he was not a bad president. It just when you weigh the things that presidents do and executive powers to them under the Constitution and laws of the Constitution,
right.
that's what the subject matter gets a little sketchy there because it always becomes two sides of a divide of division. But again, hats off to you. I never read your book. I did learn about who you were some time back. I did have a small discussion with Randy about you. And I
Hmm.
just want to say this thank you for being an American and doing and saying what is true. I never read
You're
your
very
book. I
welcome.
did learn about who you
Sorry about that.
You're very welcome for that, and it's a blessing to meet you as well.
So, let's dig in here. Let's go with I know you went almost like date by date as far as the various things that happened with the war,
Hmm.
the different battles. I like the fact that you also included um, newspaper articles, headlines, things to back up what you're saying as being
Yes.
factual. Okay.
Right.
I was blown away when you brought in about why the Titanic was sunk.
Exactly.
I thought it was just because they hit an iceberg. But you opened me to a whole yeah. Michael is laughing at me.
well,
Uh,
yeah, this is something I collect all the literature on as well, and I do know about it all. But please, Matthew, go ahead.
So these billionaires that were on board, the reason why they were on board, they were going to actually protest and prevent the creation of the United States Federal Reserve. Now, keep in mind, what year was that created?
1913?
Uh huh. And Titanic was sunk in one, 1912.
Oh God. You're right. Yeah, I was I'm sorry, I have to cut in. It was amazing. Dude, JD Rothschild, listen to these names. JD Rothschild, JP Morgan, and Mr. Hershey all canceled their trips on the Titanic. I wonder why. Cuz they
Hmm.
knew what was going to happen. But okay, you take it from here cuz I'm just floored.
The other billionaires on board, they
Right?
died on the ship. They didn't make it there, and they were unable to actually stop the creation of the Federal Reserve, the meeting there at Jekyll Island, Georgia.
yeah, the other thing I wasn't aware of is that the switching of the ships.
Yes, the Olympic was
Yeah,
really
more than
Titanic.
one.
What, Michael?
There was more than one. They were
Yes.
identical. They were
Yeah.
sister ships.
Did you know there was also a third one?
Yeah,
Titanic also had another sister. It was called Britannic, and it was a World
right.
War One hospital
I
ship.
was looking for the newspaper article. I have it, but I was going to hold it up, but it's okay.
There was also the
You
Lusitania.
mean this one here?
It does look vaguely familiar, but I can't say 100% sure with certainty. But I do know. But the only thing that I would disagree with on the in things that I have found out and spoke about over the years was
Hmm.
the fact that they all did meet on the deck, and then before the ship sailed, they departed the ship and left him on his
Yes,
own.
which means they actually planned this. This was actually planned
Yes,
to kill them on board.
exactly.
I'm going to assume that the wealthy men who died on board the ship were not aware that they were on their way to their death, correct?
No, they were not. They thought they were on their way to stop this.
And then you went on. Oh my God. I, you know, when I read your books about the war and about the way the Union soldiers treated the prisoners and treated the civilians, the women and the children and so forth, it pisses me off because I was never taught that kind of stuff well, I'm going to refer to it as a Yankee school, okay?
Yeah.
And the more I read about how much, and I knew about, Sherman's march through through the South, where he burned
hmm
everything down. I knew about that, but then to read this and to read about these wealthy men and
And that's just
everything they did to create this banking system.
and that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I mean, you included the list of all the banks that
Yes.
they control. Let me ask you this:
That
where
list took about 4.5 weeks to gather altogether.
I was going to ask, where did you get the information for all the banks and so forth that are affiliated with these billionaires?
Well, I kind of can't give that up because of a buddy of mine.
Okay,
I think I told you about that.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Jen, before we move just a little bit further on, do you have anything more to say about the Titanic or the sister ship? I mean, they even switched the damn names on the ship itself. They boarded on they took the nameplates off the
Yes.
lifeboat, the lifesavers, the jackets and so forth, and made sure that. But
They
I
knew
think
it was and they knew it was the ones who done this. They knew it was a suicide mission too because Titanic didn't even have enough lifeboats on board.
right. And you mentioned, and I'm going to, after we're done here, maybe not today, I'm going to look to see, but you mentioned that with the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, obviously
hmm
it's decaying and so forth, but you indicated that the nameplate fell off to review the actual nameplate.
Yes.
Oops, Jen bounced out.
Oh,
Hold on a
what
second.
happened?
It kicked me off. I have to sign back
There,
on.
no, you're there.
He said, "Where are you?"
Jen,
He
Oh,
said,
I see.
you're on.
"I'm on. Hold on. It is working now. It says it's working." Sorry. Technical difficulty. Am I on?
That's why
Hi.
I'm trying to
Well,
keep my cat off my desk. That's
another
why.
another thing too, y'all probably don't know that I also covered in that too is also the inside of Titanic was also weakened by a coal fire.
The what?
A coal fire.
They purposely burned the inside of it, weakened the inside.
Oh wow. I heard that it was also this is crazy because someone said, a teacher told me, on Cinco de Mayo, which is what? It's like the Mexican 4th
Yeah.
of July. And they gave a whole new meaning to Cinco de Mayo. That I guess there was a lot of mayonnaise on the Titanic that sunk. I guess they
Yes.
were trying. They really did you hear about that? Was that Hellman's? I don't know, but they were
I
trying
think
to
so.
get
Um,
food.
there's another. There's another interesting thing too y'all have probably heard of. I read about this, which is also what inspired me on this. And it was a book by Morgan Robinson, and this was actually written a couple of years before Titanic sunk, and it was called The Wreck of the Titan.
Oh wow.
And it talked about a large ship hitting an iceberg and many people drowning. And then you have it repeating 2 years later.
Hmm.
That's crazy because I always think that a lot of the movies we see is like programming us to expect stuff so we're not shocked. Like, I think this
Yeah,
is
predictive programming.
yeah, I think that well, I thought it was the cutest movie in the world, and kids won't be scared. Monsters Incorporated. These kids were so scared about this monster, they would come out of their closet and they would collect screams.
Oh
You know
yes,
what?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, no, I think it was programming us to
You,
get used to that, and then we
yes.
hear about adrenochrome,
You
where
know
they
what else is very interesting too? You don't know about Titanic? The captain of it, Captain Smith. He was a 33rd degree Freemason.
oh, did he know what was going on?
I guarantee it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What do you think the message is that they were trying to send? Were they trying to tell the other elites, we own you? Or
Yes,
really?
it was all about control.
They're in charge. Wow. Okay, go ahead, Randy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
here Matthew mentions the five architects: J.P. Morgan, J.D. Rockefeller, Jacob Schiff, Max Warburg, and Paul Warburg. I guess they're brothers.
Mm-hmm. No work.
It still blows the mind that for the sake of power and money, um, they're willing to kill thousands of people.
Oh yeah, they do it all the time. People just they pay a blind eye to it. They have the media that brainwashes them, etc. They keep playing the same thing over and over, and it's called MK Ultra, mind control. That's why I've turned off my TV. That's why I don't watch the news.
Mm. Michael, what do you think? You've been quiet for a few minutes.
Well, basically, what I think reflects back to probably around September 9th, and things started to happen
Mm-hmm.
a different way. I do agree that MK Ultra works within a perception of the public to enforce the perception of the public to accept,
Yes.
indoctrinate them. But it's no more than brainstorming an idea into one's mind. These things have all been written into place into a playbook
Oh
way,
yeah.
way before any of these things happen. Why the day before Charlie was shot was a book release saying he was shot.
Yes, I saw that, and it was released about. Actually, it was released 24 hours before he was shot, and then it was immediately removed.
Exactly. Then you have a movie called Snake Eyes.
Yep.
Um, look into that also. It kind of tells you things. Why did Cash Patel say I'll see you in Valhalla? It's a retreat. So what do we have here? Inside governmental workings? Maybe the finger really should be pointing into Washington
Oh, I
because
agree.
just like 9/11, they jumped right into you know the repair mode, and but in a different way. Same objective, different narrative,
Hmm.
same way to guide and to create patriotism. Create a vibe around something, make it bigger than life. But when
Yes.
you look into things, you can find out many other things. But sticking to
Very
the
true.
format of why we are here is for Matthew. I could go further, longer, deeper. I don't feel that I need to do that. But if you guys want to touch on some things, I'm
It's
sitting.
okay, brother. You're preaching to the choir on this.
Well, it is what it is, and I mean everything comes that way.
Exactly.
Even if you look into the gates of heaven or hell, it's a perception. If you're born into that perception of truth, it
Hmm.
becomes your own belief of reality. I'm not saying that it's not true, that these
Yeah.
things don't exist, but don't think for a minute that they are not using biblical content and religion all through this navigation of where we are right now, and it started long ago.
Well, yeah, of course. And they'll use it also AI for it, and that's called Operation Blue Beam.
AGI.
Yes, they'll use AI, they'll use drones, etc., and they'll project images into the sky for people, and they'll
The
blindly follow
holographic
it.
productions, yeah, yeah. And we had them on our ships in 1960s.
Hmm.
We had a ship, and I interviewed a seaman who just passed away, and I even attended his funeral a couple weeks ago. He was on one of these ships where that technology existed. They were out in the seas. He
Mhm.
didn't. I don't remember exactly where. I have it written down, but I don't have it in my mind right now. And they were being attacked. And what they did was they used this holographic projection system to it confused the enemy, and they didn't know
Yes.
which ship to shoot at, and they
Very
drove
true.
off.
What? I don't know if I'm thinking of a movie or my imagination, but wasn't there an attack on our ships with a whole bunch of drones?
Actually, there was. It was in 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Say it again.
If I'm not mistaken, it was in 2020.
Yeah,
Jen,
that's
you
what I
think your
thought. Yeah,
microphone's off.
yeah. Jen, your microphone's off.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, what were you saying?
I
S-
w-
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh,
2020.
yeah, 2020. It happened in Ukraine.
Imagine that, Ukraine. Huh.
Hmm.
Wow.
So let's move on a little bit here. The Federal Reserve Bank and the other banks started.
Yes, they were
Uh,
doing that to get rid of the gold standard.
yeah. Um, President's signature enacts currency law. Wilson declares it is the first of a series of constructive acts to aid business. Really? I don't
Hmm.
think so. Um, let's go into one part that I think we ought to talk about. I mean, we always come back on the book.
Yeah.
Um, and this is Michael is going to be key on this. So, can the elites control the weather? Michael, take it.
They've been doing it for a long time. They've used it inside some of their war efforts and more that goes back over 6 7 decades,
Hmm.
where they uh, entered so much uh, chemical into the sky they couldn't even shut it off, and we sunk a lot of our equipment. So these things, yeah, of course they can. It's like a flip of a switch that I've been posting a lot lately
Yes.
on my posts. I mean, as me, what I have visually seen when we hit spring, certain amounts of things happen. When we hit summer, like a flip of a switch on the day of the solstice, boom, just like that, everything changed. First day of fall, rain returned. What did that do throughout all this? And then you must ask yourself, how much power does a president have when he's in charge of a country that's not protecting us? And we have to go and fight through legislations and laws to say, stop the spraying. If a man is in charge of a country and his military, I mean, if it was and I seen things and was aware of
Yeah.
things. And I know he was aware because I watched him fly into Pittsburgh where they were flying
Hmm.
and delivering these chemtrails right in front of his own plane. So he's well aware with all the arrows in the sky of what they're flying through. But he's made no to do anything about it, which is
Yeah.
saddens me in a big way. But what I saw was the farmlands get totally destroyed. As I was driving home yesterday or the day before, and I was looking on my left, looking on my right at my neighbors,
Hmm.
everything was just dead. Everything
Mm.
was dead. So, I mean, how far do we not scream at the top of our lungs? Because I've been doing this for like 20 years on climate. I was doing it while people now were coming out or were still in their diapers. But that doesn't make me any different than anybody else that's screaming
Yeah.
right now, too. When you look at the devastations and the hurricanes and the floodings and, the torrential downpours and the tornadoes, and
Speaking of that, in
South
that book,
Carolina, North Carolina.
speaking of that, Michael, in that book, if you look at the picture of the sky in it, that's what I took right before Helene hit where I was at.
All right, maybe
Wow.
Randy could show me that.
Yep. Give me a second.
I mean, I photograph the sky all the time, but for multi-purpose reasons.
This wasn't photographed. Like right after this happened, all of a sudden the wind picked up. Everything. I was out of power for about almost a week straight,
This one.
and Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've seen multiple pictures very similar to what you have there.
And, a lot of strange things happened during that I seen. Um, when I was volunteering at the Orthodox Church at St. Tikhon's in Bluntville, Tennessee during that, we were actually we were trying to help others in the hurricanes that hit North Carolina and Tennessee, and so I was helping send stuff, and we had teams go out, and they had even said too that even FEMA was trying to actually take their property from them,
Right,
which is exactly what I said in that book about they claim eminent domain and they steal your property.
right,
Wow.
right. And there was other ways that they were navigating through that too, whereby train derailments, planes coming down,
Yes,
anything to cause fires, remove people from being able to speak.
I
Uh,
will say, and I want your thoughts on this, Michael.
sure.
Something very strange happened after I published that. About three days after I published this book, something historic happened. In the deep south, they had a record-breaking blizzard of 10 feet of snow. Well, not 10 feet, but 10 inches of snow. That's not normal for Florida.
I agree. And we're seeing a lot of the same effects, like in Texas and
But
so forth, too, as
we,
well.
Texas was covered too. But think about the title. All right, Chemtrails over Dixieland. The South is known as Dixieland.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book about the government doing weather modifications upon the South to control them. And then 3 days after I published that, all of a sudden that happens.
Yeah. And if the conspiracy even grows bigger. We know that within our government programs, and
Yes.
I'm gonna watch how I use my wording here. Uh, they've used LSD on
Oh yeah.
certain areas and cities just to see how it changed people in retrospect. Did
Yes.
did the criminals slow down? Did they mellow out? Was there as much violence? How many accidents were there? And they were doing it over and over with certain things, of many things. We have been the test subjects of these people of
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Matthew mentions a lot of that in this book about how the various different chemicals are released on the population just to see what happens. Um, Let me ask you this: President Trump is a different kind of. I'm hoping he's a different kind of president, but he has to be aware of all these because there's patents. Matthew includes patents in the book on how to make hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff.
yeah.
You would think that Trump, being the man for the country, for the nation, would want to put a stop to all this, or is he just also one, just another clog
Well,
in the wheel?
my thoughts on this is with Trump, he's just a man. But the people who control him, above him, they're in charge of all of it, which would be the Council of 300.
Now, who's the Council of 300? I never heard that term used before.
Those are the billionaires that run the world.
Wow. So we covered the elites controlling the weather. Do you have any comments yet, Jen, or any of your questions that you had made ahead of time right now relevant to the chemicals and the weather?
I know I was done with the weather. I wanted to ask about one more missing vehicle, and that would be the Malaysian flight. You talked about the
Yes.
Malaysian flight,
Yes.
and it was in Diego Garcia where they found it. Eh, Who were
Well, they
they?
did not find it, but I firmly believe it's there.
Oh, they
And
got
it would make sense, and I'll explain this. The plane, it went missing 80 miles from there. Do you know what Diego Garcia is?
I'm
That's a
guessing.
U.S. military base
Okay.
that they test equipment there for. And it would make sense if they done like a small EMP to the plane and then got them lost and brought them there. And then the people were test subjects. It wouldn't be the first time either.
Now, what did you think the purpose of that commercial flight? Do you know how many people were on the flight?
I do not have I don't think I have an actual number of who was on the flight, but my thoughts are very clear on what happened, and it makes sense if you actually look into the history of Diego Garcia, because it was actually used during World War II also as a military base for the
Mm.
U.S.
You also mentioned there's some high-level prisoners there as well.
There is.
Huh.
I've included photographs.
Hmm.
Was that a message to the elites, or were they sending a message to us civilians? Because we were scared to death, and
They
I
were doing that to show how powerful they were and how much control they have.
wow. Because I know Michael had this Sylvia Brown who was I don't know, she's a psychic, and she was talking about people like vehicle drivers, mostly trucks, but she was saying, I think she mentioned trains, and then all of a sudden this plane disappears. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on? So I was, who are they messaging? But I see they're just telling everybody that they're the boss, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, basically that they can't be stopped. They basically believe they are God at this point.
Hmm.
Mm.
No, on the one page here, page 83, you have an image here. It says the electric vehicle boom could bring lithium mines back to North Carolina.
So yes,
Obviously, not all locals are happy about that. Is that the same lithium that we see video of in Africa, where the kids are in there and they're using their hands to dig and so forth, and just covered in it?
absolutely,
Or is that
and
cobalt?
also quartz. Now quartz, they actually they waited for the people to lose their homes in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. During this, a bunch of land was confiscated, and they opened up the quartz mine.
Oh, that's bad.
Now, with that being said, what is quartz used for?
Watches,
Vaccines.
vaccines. I know that. So you're saying vaccines contain quartz?
Yes, along with
Damn.
other ingredients, but the lithium, though, that's a very important one because, of course, batteries. And what was they pushing so hard on people? Electric cars.
Wow.
So they destroyed. There is not a complete record yet of how many are dead in North Carolina and Tennessee and Southwest Virginia from this. But people in my area lost everything. Folks in Damascus, it took them, well, they haven't even fully recovered yet. They've opened up parts of the trail there around White Top at the Blue Ridge Parkway, but that's about it. And of course, some of the roads are still in pieces.
Talk about the BlackRock Corporation. Why is that in your book?
All right, so BlackRock actually had took ownership of Albemarle Lithium. Now, with that being said, when they done that, they took ownership basically of that mine in North Carolina.
That was President. That was Vice President Harris's husband.
Yes, it was, and I covered that in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sickens me. It sickens me. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no, you're fine. I mean, I want to know if you have questions too, bud. I mean, I'm glad we're on the same subject here. We're on the same mindset.
Oh, definitely we are. And again, thank you for letting me join in. I don't want to bring anything to the table that I shouldn't do either. No, so you're talking about Malaysia. I'm going to give you a little history on how far back I researched it.
All
Uh,
right.
a group of scientists were on board that all went missing that were going to.
Yes, he brings it in his book. You're right.
And, okay, right. I mean, I probably have my mind and of everything that you got going on. But I trace that back to these people that all died, some with their spouses as well, that were going to a conference that never made it. And that was the whole purpose, to stop the flight.
Mm-hmm.
That was the spillage that they were worried about, just the same way that we're seeing that came out from Charlie, which
Yeah.
again points multiple governments wanting to have this happen, um, and shows how powerful they are. When you really get into it, this probably isn't in your book. How many times has President Trump filed bankruptcy? Who were the
Actually,
who were the 72 banks that bailed him out?
I don't have that. You're right.
Okay, so when you get into these things and objectives of what's going on and the control feature, remember, a president is a president of a country, just like a president
Yes.
of a corporation, but there is a board of directors, the councils,
Mm-hmm.
and other secret society names who are involved, such as the Vatican, the White Pope, the Gray Pope, the
And
Black
the
Pope,
Black Pope,
et cetera,
yes.
et cetera, certain families, etc. I've
Including
been
one of the biggest would be the Massimo family, and they're actually head of the Italian mafia.
I know the name. I know the
Mm-hmm.
name. I'm not going to
Fabrizio
disagree with you,
Massimo.
but I would say there's some equal players on the field there
Yes.
because they're bloodline married now.
Yes. And some actually married into the Rothschild families.
Well, they are the ones who feel that this planet belongs to them through ancestry.
Yes.
So when you have that, of course, what are we? We are the cattle.
Another place you should look into as well that's very evil and known for this would be the Mothers of Darkness.
The wives of the Malta.
Yes.
Okay, we also had a second division, a second part of that too, which was the wives of the Templars. A lot of people say, "Oh no, these guys, not they have wives, and they were warrior bitches." Let me tell you, if you really get into finding this stuff out. But I do agree with you. I do agree with you.
Wow, what really concerns me the most, and I think we saw a lot of this take place with the vaccinations that were mandated, and
I never
that
took it.
is the 2050 initiative. They need to get rid of 100 million people to meet this initiative by
So
2050.
they destroyed it, but it was a few years ago they destroyed it, called the Georgia Guidestones, and in it they actually talked about how the world had to actually be depopulated. And actually, I have it in my first book, in The War That Never Ended, if I can find it. But I've actually got a picture of the Godstones before they were blown up.
Hmm.
But it's got where the world has to be at a population of 100 billion people.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe we did some shows on that, guys. I mean, at some point in
Yeah.
time, we have covered and talked about, that because, I mean, let's face it, it made worldwide news.
Hmm.
Something like this happen, in broad daylight, but it did. And it fell under the Biden regime, which
Yeah.
was a little bit more tied into um, an open hands man, like the good hands people of an insurance company, anything that was necessary to do. But
Hmm.
now we're also learning that it wasn't all about Joe. It was about predecessors and people
Yes.
sitting side by side that were doing all the decision making, and that's where the invisible pen came into play on things like that. But yeah, I mean, uh, it
Yeah.
you can't make this up. Just like
One,
that saying.
one thing I do want to bring up, I don't know y'all's thoughts on this, but I've put two and two together on this. And the reason why I've chose the name for this is very, very important for what I'm getting ready to tell y'all. In that book, I released the entire list of planned smart cities in the U.S. Now, with that being said, Richmond, Virginia is one of them. What is significant about this? Richmond took out almost all of their Confederate monuments.
Yeah.
And if you put two and two together, it's planning to be a smart city, aka a city ran by AI. The people won't have jobs, they'll be replaced by AI technology.
Wow.
Before we go that's a very important topic. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but this picture here of it looks like a underground
Yes,
an underground structure.
that
Um,
is. That's Rock City. Rock
this
City is known for sex trafficking.
Michael has a head full of knowledge about all the underground construction that goes throughout the entire United States, if not more, and about Washington D.C. And specifically. So, would Michael's knowledge of what he knows about this also be incorporated into like from your book as far as why we have the underground cities?
Possibly, even though I've never really looked into his work, but I'm sure it's very, very similar. But from what I've found about the tunnels is sickening, and they're used for sex trafficking. It's how they hide it.
Man.
Michael, what's your knowledge? I know you and I discussed a year or so ago about everything underneath the ground and the whole cities and trucks, delivered make deliveries all the time underground. Um, and just recently, I saw videos of a guy following the truck and to see where it was going, to see that it was going underneath the ground, and he
Hmm.
was this truck driver was. Told to leave because he didn't have security clearance to see what was going on. So, Michael, briefly, 'cause I know you have a lot of information about this. What do you have to say about the underground cities of our country?
It would blow your mind. And there's locations throughout the United States as well that were planned and set up as
Hmm.
entrance and exit points. Now, let's get something straight about trafficking. Okay, here's where the mystery really does come in. If you go back to 1947, uh,
Yes.
President Eisenhower, etc., deals being made, uh, interplanetary meetings going on, um, things that were necessary, things that they wanted, and a lot of it got rammed up our president's butts. Uh,
Yes.
so these secret meetings were about, that big topic, ufology. And so every one of these kids, we assume once they're trafficked, they're killed, they're eaten, it's adrenochrome, they're putting through the fear factor so they can create these high intensity blood and all these things like that, chemicals in the blood.
Absolutely. Yes.
But, but, and I don't disagree with it, but there is an off planet type of mechanism here, and they're using trafficking for a purpose of language to cover over that.
Well, yeah, it's demonic. I mean, it's basically the worship of Bel. If you know what that is.
The German,
Fail.
Yes.
yeah. Well, that was a time machine.
Yeah.
It jumped time and it came back in. Yeah, right. So there's theories to that, basically. But I can tell you, I've been in them. I've drove through some of them. I haven't been through the enormity of it all. I do know that we have rail systems down there get you from point A to point B 900 miles an hour plus, and you can do a trip within like minutes. I mean, if you go to Area 51, that was one of the and Groom Lake and
Yeah. You're talking about Ellis Air Base. I know what you're
right.
talking about.
When you get into that, that's what the development was initially for. So when you landed somewhere, you got aboard this, and you had no clue where you landed up, where you were going to work. Because
Hmm.
Emery Smith was another one that even verified that this was factually true. Emery Smith, and he talked about it a lot. And I had people and guests on my shows that I actually had sidebar conversations before even going live on the air, and they were feared about talking about a lot of this. But you do have, Bob Lazar and other people that actually play key
Yes.
roles and parts within it. So there is an off-planet scenario when you get into the super soldiers, the microchips, the chipping,
Oh yeah.
our soldiers. the testings of different types of vaccinations, telling people, well, you need to have this because you're going to Africa and you can catch this, you can catch that. And they were just being toyed with. They had no clue what was being really, truly injected into them, but they were prepping them for different types of how does this pan out after we do it? How long do they last? What do they act like? Does it change them? Does it change their physical capabilities? Does it strengthen them? Does it weaken them? So when you look at the whole perspective of it and all the years that it took, but the
Hmm.
thing about the years that it took, the long game's always the best game.
And they don't want people resisting either. See,
Right.
they hate folks like me. I mean, I resisted the COVID-19 vaccine. I never even took it. I mean, I looked at the doctor one day when he tried to push it on me, and I said, "Do you even know what's in it?" And then he looked at me and said, "No." I said, "I do." And then all of a sudden, his attitude completely changed, and he just told me to get out.
Mhm. Chapter 23, you bring up about a world of cannibalism. And I'm going to read a portion of it here because you have two pictures of what seems to be an area and a very, I'll show you the pictures. Um,
So, do you know what that is up there?
I have no idea.
That's the HARP machines for weather modification in Alaska.
Okay. So the elites continuously take part in child sacrifices, and you're wondering to yourself, how do they get there? That answer is very clear and tragic, but the truth is they load the children onto FedEx trucks, corporate tractor trailers, blacked out SUVs, horse trailers, cattle trailers, UPS, DHL, USPS, and train cars. After it's not possible, since I've been proven time and time again that if a man desires to buy a wife and has money to do so, it's quite possible, and they're called, and I quote, mail order brides.
Yep.
So to conclude on this, it is more than possible to traffic humans and sell them to others. And then you go into the Epstein list.
You
Wow.
left, did you leave out Bohemian Grove?
Bohemian Grove is in there.
Okay,
I couldn't leave out Bohemian Grove because that's where a lot of the presidents went,
exactly. That was the biggest key role of it all.
and it
And
was in L.A.
if you didn't listen, they proved their points. Like the true shot heard around the world.
Yeah.
That there and President Reagan. So you
Hmm.
have the other. Pay attention, listen up, because we can get inside you anywhere you are.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what was the symbol they had there at the Bohemian Grove? It was none other than the owl.
An owl. And
Now,
I'll
with
see.
that being said, if you actually look at a dollar, you gotta zoom in, but it's in the top corner. You have a magnifying glass, you can actually see an owl.
Wow.
Michael brought up a chemical earlier in our conversation, and if I butcher it, I apologize. Now, chapter 24, you talked about the adrenochrome.
Hmm.
Um, Clinicians were able to use a profusion of aqueous and adrenochrome to bring an intentionally frostbitten rabbit's ear back to life with only a few exposures, allowing doctors to restore all the nerve and stimulus response as well. And then you also talk about is able to restart a frog's heart, bringing the
Yep.
animal back to life, and so on and so on. But this chemical apparently comes from when, if I correct me if I'm wrong, so when you're getting ready to kill a child, the child bodies create
So,
this chemical, and they use a needle, and
yes,
they
so that alone, that comes from fear, the child's fear.
fear. Yes.
And,
Like I
and
said, this is a very
here's a
evil
good
one.
I don't want to interrupt you, but here's a good example of how that works. All right, Jen, prepare yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
sexual conductivities between two people. You get into that heightened kind of like arousal, spiritual energy. So consider how that works, but through taking this and bringing it from a red blood material to a clear material. Same type of difference. It's not a hormonal, okay, but I'm trying to just give you like that energy of lust and love and
Hmm.
feeling good and wonderful. This is the type of drug that is, and that's why Hollywood fell in love with it, because to them that was the fountain of their youth.
Yes.
You also include this
You sure
about
we didn't write these books together?
Reagan. um,
I've actually been researching this since I was about 18.
No,
I'm
I'm just
25 now.
joking. I believe that you did. I believe that you did.
so are you telling me that Reagan participated in child sex?
Absolutely. Reagan, he was also at the Bohemian Grove
Yes, he
numerous
was.
times.
He actually had to participate while he was there.
That was my next question. I was thinking, not about Bohemian Grove, but similar thing, Epstein Island,
Yes.
and the what is it called? The manifest from
Hmm.
Lolita Express. I was assuming that that stuff was just for blackmail purposes. I wasn't thinking of the flesh eating, and that's where the children come from. But what is it? What is the big purpose? Is it, and why did Pam Bondi say, "I have the file right on my desk"? Then all of a sudden, we do
So
not have the
the
file. There is
reason why they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to release the file" over and over, they're just trying to control the people. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's working to some degree.
It ain't working with me because I already done their part for them.
I
Well,
was gonna say, am I allowed to have this list? I have.
I'm going to read. I know I was on another broadcast and I was prevented from naming some of the names on here, but I'm going to name some of the names because I'm sure that uh, Matthew, the author, has done his due diligence, and these names are for real.
Yes.
Obviously, we have Bill Clinton, who was there 33 times. We have folks like Robert Downey Jr., Jimmy Kimmel, Alec Baldwin. We have let's see, Bill Murray, Brian Affleck. I'm just going through picking out some names I recognize. Meryl Streep, obviously Ghislaine Maxwell. Um, there's a lot of names I don't recognize here. Michael Wolff. Let's see.
You will see one name on there by the name of Massimo with the last name. That one is also in charge of the Italian mafia. They're connected to the Massimo family, that is one of the 13 elite families in the world.
Bill Murray's here. I mean, you have the entire list. It takes up like 10 pages. Um,
and most of them were related to presidents that held the seat in the
yeah.
United States.
Well, and here's another thing too. All the presidents are actually related too, through a
Yeah.
Freemasonic bloodline.
Right.
So
So
why?
through me, where I'm descended from the Randolphs, I'm descended from Washington, and through that, all of the presidents, because of that lineage. And it goes all the way to King John of England.
Oh
So
my
why?
god!
So why aren't these people in prison?
Well, they control it. They expect people to be their slaves.
Hmm.
Wow.
Just to
Who
take.
are? They say there's two presidents who are not in that royal line. I know one is Trump, and the other
No,
one, and I thought for sure it was Obama because I'm like he's
no.
black.
Why would Obama not be? Why would he not be in that when his
I
mother
I know.
was of that lineage? His mother was white, but with that being said, his father was actually in the CIA, and he was also in the Skull and Bone Society.
You're right. And I was shocked in your book to read that USAID is not US aid. We
It's
were
not.
not. I know it's oh wait, I read it. It's US. Tell me what it is again.
I have to go back to it because there's so much in that that
It's
my mind it flips.
it's international something. It's US Association of International and something. We're
Let's see if I can
influencing
find it
other
real quick.
nations. Yeah, it's U.S.
Oh, the U.S. Agency for International Development.
International Development, and that's what they were taking money out of, sending to Peru for a transgender comic book. And
That's
I
Yes,
was like,
international development.
yeah, we were manipulating their minds, and
But yeah,
everyone's like throwing a fit
it's
that why
formula.
can't we? We're so wealthy, we should give to the needy, but we're just using it in different ways.
it's
We're
controlled
manipulating.
manipulation.
Yep. I was so sad to see that, but thank you for posting that or putting that in your book. I was like I
And,
said, every time I read your books, I'm like, am I allowed to read this? I feel like the SWAT team is going to come through the door wall
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I
well,
mean,
It's kind of like APAC. I mean, you have to understand there's a lot going on here.
authors like me,
There's
though,
always
the stuff we have, were protected, though, by the U.S. Whistleblowers Act.
Right.
I mean, in the
not
tour,
protected by anything.
I mean, towards the back
Sure.
here, you talk about NASA, and you're talking about the blue beam weapon
Yes,
system.
Operation Blue Beam.
I mean, you went into detail telling how this thing worked. I mean, you almost need a degree to understand what you wrote here. I'm sure Michael won't have any problems understanding it, but you go into all the details of how the laser works. Um, is this the same device that we think was used in like places like in Hawaii where uh, every
Maui. Yes.
but it didn't hit the roofs that were I think it was the blue, but all
Yes.
the other roofs that it hit.
Yes, it hit Maui, and you know what's special about Maui? Maui's a planned smart city.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the scene talking about that. You're right. You're
I
right.
have it in the list on it. Finding that list was actually very, very difficult to put two and two together. It took about, I want to say, a couple months.
Hmm. Well, if you look at the true registry of voting, you'll find where they exist at.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
yeah, that's one of the things, and that's right now what's being, or at least trying to be addressed. Again, is it all is the snowball effect, snowflake effect? Get out the tinfoil hat. Who knows? But I do know that these things are factual and true when it comes to the smart cities, and even Trump had his own name for them, which means to a certain degree of things he is on board with a lot of this. I mean, suddenly he comes back in his second term as president, and he's all about AI, which falls under DARPA. So, are you working
Exactly.
for DARPA? Well, I can tell you one thing I know about JD Vance. What I have found out recently is, and it's not negative, he funds Tucker Carlson. Where's that money come from?
I've
How
known
does that?
about that, but me personally, I don't like Vance anyway. And there's a lot to do with where he lied about his life, etc.
Exactly. There's some things in there that are, subject to be should be subject to be questioned more. But
See,
again,
as an Appalachian, I actually know what I'm talking about, unlike him.
Mhm. Well, we are come to the end of our show. I mean, this is something we could probably do a follow up with because we didn't get to the sex slaves, the Irish slaves in the back of the book here and so forth. But I am so glad that Michael was able to join us tonight because I knew Michael's mind and all the intelligence that he has to that he would have been a good he was and is a great contributor to this as far as his background. It's like you're saying, to Matthew, did you take your information to write his book? You guys could collaborate on many books and probably make a lot of money on it. Jen, before we leave, do you have anything you want to bring up?
No, I was so excited to be part of this, and we made some bookmarks, and you can buy them
Yep.
for $3. They're quality. It's got all of your books on it, Matthew. Thank you.
It's
Oh,
very
you're
high
welcome.
quality. It's a heavy plastic. We priced it at $3 each. Well, hopefully we sell them that. But what I was saying earlier was that my Matthew, for everyone that buys your book, we should give one for free, just as a
Yeah,
freebie. But $3 was a dollar for her, dollar for me, and uh,
$1
a
shipping.
dollar for postage. Um,
yeah,
but I want to so we just ended up with Chemtrails. Your book, Blood in the Mountains. Again, Michael, I think you get a kick out of these books. They talk. It's all about his family from the war between the North and the South. His book, Hell in the Cell, another very good read. Those two books took me 5 days each to read, so I went right through it.
hmm,
Spirit of Vengeance, again, a very good book. And Matthew and I had discussed possibly of him trying to get some kind of bundle together so where someone can buy a certain number of books that Matthew would uh, give you like a percentage off. This
yeah,
one here, I have not yet started. It's a very thin book, so it should be a very quick read. It is The Road to Hell and Back. Uh, Matthew, real quick, you want to talk to people about what this book
yeah. I
is?
do. So this is a topic a lot of people are afraid to talk about, but this is about my eighth great grandfather, Lieutenant Solomon Caleb Linton Sr., and he was actually in the Washington County, Virginia militia. And so he was at Martin's Station when it became under siege by the British Army and a few of the native tribes that were there with the British. And they began raping and killing the children and the women there. And so after the fort had been destroyed, Rebels Fort was destroyed at Martin's Station, then you had the British Army send them into slavery. Thus, my family, the Littons, were forced to march on foot for 300 miles to
Hmm.
present day Michigan.
Barefoot? Was that?
Yes. And I
Oh, okay.
have a verified letter of this too, actually. This was verified by the Daughters of the American Revolution. And it says here urgent dispatch Shawneetown near Fort Detroit, in Providence, U Canada, 1st Ye March 1781. To my kinsman at Ye Fort Elk Garden, in Ye Washington County, Virginia, John Lytton, father, and James McLaughlin, brother-in-law, explaining my long absence of communique due to being taken from the tilling of my field by several breeds of savages. On Ye 26th June 1780, as a captive of the Shawnees commanded by British General Harry Byrd, under His Majesty out of Ye Canada, my family all were marched afoot 300 miles to Ye Fort Detroit, where I was sold to a savage called Big Slave. Well, Big
Hmm.
Fish, as a slave, is my reason. I have been separated from my family, not knowing whence they were being held. I am fearful of their demise. The urgency of this dispatch, if delivered, to have take you to the power of the attorney to save and secure my property together with that of Captain John Duncan, also a prisoner of the enemy in New Canada, from seizure by you Commonwealth of Virginia for taxes. And
Hmm.
then it says here, Rubble's and Martin's fort was cannonballed, and after a surrender most inhabitants were massacred. There were bones of infants on trees, some crushed under the cart wheels.
Oh my!
Ye older inhabited were gutted and drawn down to the pleasure of you spectators. Ye lassies were raped and scalped by you savages. Fort burned, and stock and fowl slaughtered. A horrible massacre, not yet equaled in this country.
Wow. And Matthew also has another book out. This one here is going to take me a while, so this will probably be a Christmas broadcast. It's over 500 pages. Um, it's called The War That Never Ended: Secede Your Mind from the Modern World. Can't wait to get into that. Michael, before we kick out here, any last words, any comments to Matthew?
No, again, thank you for your work. It's good to see the young people become more involved, doing the research, putting the information out there because much is being lost. Every time you go to the library, books will be changed. They will be removed from the shelf as years pass. They will no longer be for anybody's eyes. So you have things like that that do happen, and all I can say is I have nothing but gratitude for what you're doing, and thank you for doing it. And I hope that you stay protected because voices, when we use them,
Hmm.
become an enemy to these other evil forces. So, you know, proceed with caution in life the best way you can. When I look at what happened to me and how they directed things at me, I now look at them as a blessing. Remove everything I do. It doesn't even matter
Yeah,
any longer because you know what? It probably protected me in some fashion. But
yeah.
as far as everything else, Jen, thank you. Randy, thank you. We've
Yeah.
lost Jen again.
Yeah. She must be having some problem with her connection there.
I hope she's okay. But again, thank you so much. If you ever want to chat or something, Randy can do a three-way phone call or
Yep.
All right.
anything. If you need anything that I might have, I could. If I reach behind me, I have stacks of information and research that are just unfounded. But remember, it goes over 50 years, so
Yeah.
it
Um,
starts in a different type of era of information and people.
Yeah.
one thing I mentioned in my broadcast this morning when I was getting ready to promote tonight's show was that um, I want to get out on my own and do my own broadcasts. And first off, this is one way of doing it by Matthew. You got to write some more books. So we're almost out of books. By doing a bi-weekly broadcast talking about his books. And another young man reached out to me because he saw our broadcast, Matthew, and he wants me to get. He's going to send me his book to do the exact same thing. But I also want to talk to other people. I made some promises to the people in the South about doing broadcasts about
Hmm.
um, strange, unusual things that from the war in the South. Talking about the ghosts that are still in the battlefields. You know, Matthew and I talked about that. I'm sure
I
that's a
sent you a
topic that
picture.
Michael is very keen on.
You
But
remember I sent you a picture?
yep, I definitely want to get off on my own, do my own thing, and bring in my own guests and just talk about stuff and get away, but also have a schedule, not 5, 6, 7 days a week, but
Yeah.
1 or 2 days a week. So I'm going to start doing my own thing. And Michael, I hope you would be part of that, or me part of your again if you're going back on live. But Michael, I do appreciate you being here tonight. I'm going to kick you out if you got nothing else to say.
No, I'm good, man. Blessings. Thank you. Appreciate everybody. I'll see you all soon.
It
Take
was
care.
great talking to you.
And Matthew, this went really well, and I knew that Michael would be able to contribute a lot towards it because this is Michael's this is his part of his I can't think of the word, but he does so much with Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens.
Yes.
The He does things with the president making the deal with the aliens as far as giving them people for technology, spirits, ghosts. I mean, his knowledge just goes beyond anything I can comprehend. So I knew he would be great for tonight,
He
especially
definitely
because of the
was.
topic.
Now, with that being said, I've been very busy lately with a project I'm working on now. It won't be finished until probably, I want to say, January, but it's about the enlistments and how they were actually wrong. Because I've went through the irregular and the regular troops, and I'm putting all of that together, including my own family contributing to it.
Excellent. So, Matthew, I want to say thank you once again for being here. Now I can start reading the Road to Hell and Back, and I think I'm going to have to make sure my stomach is empty. By the way, you were describing some of these chapters, and be kind of gory.
Well, that
But
wasn't a chapter. That was a historic letter in there.
Matthew, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing. I also want to quick say to the people who were in the chat room, we have Jesse Woodruff. That's Jen's husband, David Nobar, Barbara Amons, Brad Bowden, who is one of the guys who's going to be buying your book. He's also one of my clients. And there are others out there. We went across, I think, like 8 different Southern groups. So hopefully they got a chance to look at the show.
Yeah.
Other than that, Matthew, thank you. Take care. And I'm going to kick you out. So there we go, folks. A great evening. Wow, almost an hour and 15 minutes. I hope the book is phenomenal. You have to get your hands on it. There's a lot of information in there that I didn't know our government was doing. And it makes me wonder how in the hell. Well, it's all for money and power. That's what it boils down to, money and power. And that's what keeps them in. So, folks, thanks for being here tonight. About 2 weeks, we'll be doing the road to hell and back. Take care.